Zambia is known for its waterfalls, its rivers and lakes, its warm, sunny climate, rich cultural diversity, and the unmistakable smiles of its people. This rich and diverse nation, with a surface area of about 750,000 square kilometers and a population of 14.5 million, is home to one of the 7 wonders of the world and the legendary walking safari, all recognizable trademarks. Peace remains the epicenter of Zambia's identity. In spite of all this, Zambia still faces numerous challenges in attaining development goals in areas of health, education, and gender equality that represent the world's comprehensive agenda for economic growth. The culture of silence in cases of gender-based violence and early child marriage, religious traditions, social practices, economic factors, blind beliefs, and unequal power relations still daunt the nation.
We have to remove family conspiracy in dealing with the gender-based violence cases, because most times the victims are injured, traumatized, brutalized by family members, husband, brother, uncle, wife, and so on.
I was married off at the age of 15 by my father to a man that was 20 years older than me. I had to drop out of school in grade 8 and then join that man whom I called husband. But upon joining him, I had to pull out of school and became a wife. That same year, I got pregnant and gave birth to a girl child.
Child marriage is a very big problem in Zambia. Research statistics indicate a slight decline, but the problem is still very big. The 2007 Zambia Demographic Health Survey results showed that the prevalence rate of child marriage in Zambia stood at 42%. And then we've recorded a slight decline to 31.4% according to the 2013-2014 Demographic Health Survey. This is still a very, very big number because young people are the majority in Zambia. So when you talk about 31% of children aged between 15 and 24 being married off before the age of 18, that is a very, very big problem.
The father of my child subjected me to a number of abuses. That was physical, emotional, and sexual abuse.
A lot of people think that gender-based violence is about beating or fighting. But gender-based violence is bigger than that. In fact, the aspect of physical violence is, for me, the least of the problems. The bigger part of gender-based violence is what we call emotional or psychological violence. The other one is the sexual violence.
It is under sexual violence that we find specific outlined crimes such as defilement, rape, incest, and indecent assault. Now, of these sexual offenses, defilement tends to take an upper role in our communities. Defilement is defined according to our laws as having a carnal knowledge of a child below the age of 16 years.
In response to the increasing number of GBV cases in Zambia, the government of the Republic of Zambia, in collaboration with the United Nations system, are responding to the challenges and implementing programs to end gender-based violence and early child marriage, together building on the hopes of eliminating and preventing all forms of violence against women and children. Misolo, a village in Chief Nyampande's area, Petauke district. Today, Chief Nyampande makes one of his regular visits to meet the youth and community members that run the one-stop shop. Petauke is known to have high rates of gender-based violence and early child marriage. The presence of a one-stop center in the community has helped provide social, medical and police services to victims of sexual, emotional and physical abuse. The problem of early child marriage is a complex one, a common practice in many developing countries.
I would like to see a situation where when girls do want to get married, they do so in an informed atmosphere. They shouldn't be coerced into a relationship, a marriage, just because the parents want them to. They should get into a marriage when they are ready for marriage, when they are informed, and they are capable of sustaining this relationship. And this relationship will be much more meaningful, because then you will be talking of marriages of equals, individuals who have gotten into these marriages because they understand the relationship that they are getting into.
Misolo One Stop Shop is a success story that has seen an increase in the involvement of rural communities in mitigating gender-based violence cases and early child marriage, leading to increased reporting and prosecution on GBV cases. The One-Stop Center for Children at the Pediatric Center for Excellence was set up in 2006 to reduce the long and cumbersome process of handling gender-based violence cases.
There are many disciplines that you need for you to adequately attend to all the problems that someone who is a survivor of gender-based violence would have faced. That's how the One-Stop Center concept came in. So the police are found in the One-Stop Center, the nurses, the doctors, the social workers, the counselors, in one place, so that this person will just come, finish their business and go back home.
It is this focused attention that required all personnel in the department to undergo specialized training in the management of child abuse and gender-based violence.
So we manage the cases of gender-based violence that have taken place. But secondly, we do sensitization as a one-stop center. We go into the community. We've got transport and we've got the human resource to reach out to the places where these cases are prevalent and tell the people, sensitize them to report and sensitize them to take preventive measures.
I told him about my decision, my desire of wanting to go back to school. But that resulted into more violence from him. The most painful experience about the beating that I still have, that I still feel still more fresh, was on an occasion where he had to strip me naked outside the yard and left me bleeding.
We've noted that active involvement of communities is very important in the fight against GBV. We involve what we call community action groups. These are groups of people in the rural communities that people respect or they look up to. We involve traditional leaders. We involve the women groups. We involve the youth. We involve the teachers, religious leaders, and also the neighborhood watch. So that's the composition of community action groups. And we train them as paralegals and psychosocial counselors.
Tuneyo ne muntu umozi wabala bantu erungulishapo mwana mtondo wa 15 years. So tikafume ku workshop kula tikalute kuphunzira izi na izi nichizowera kuno kumunzi nichizowuja alume bangu. Nikuti mwe kukuti chiye chiti kulungulisha mwana mtondo ni milandu. Tendi mujoshe ku skulu kai mwana etola vumo enze mu grade 7 nisholemba ma exam yakuya mu grade 8. So epasa kuya grade 8. So mukwate nkala 2 years. So nichiti uyu mwana since ni mwana mtondo timuweleje ku skulu akambe soti skulu.
UN agencies working together with other stakeholders are initiating interventions in support of the survivors of gender-based violence. Provision of skills for economic empowerment is one such area supplementing the efforts of government.
Kulingana maklabu mwatu mamene tilirumu, titandizika mu vintu vambiri ndabenango ba matunga, Benango tilima chabe minda, benango balina minda ya tute. Tilina tanki ba association amene tiperekako futi mkaka wa mbuzi. Uja mkaka uthandizira azimayi chimodzimodzi kupeza kandalama pa nyumba kupambana ankhala alibe ndrama.
In the quest to fight GBV and early child marriage, the government is working with various stakeholders, UN agencies, churches, traditional leaders, and the police in order to maximize gains.
Currently, we're experiencing a lot of challenges when matters relating to gender-based violence are taken before the courts of law, particularly cases relating to sexual violence, defilement cases where children have to testify in court and they have to face the perpetrator. Currently, the courts do not have systems to separate the victims of gender-based violence from the perpetrators, and this, of course, has resulted in a lot of trauma to the victims of gender-based violence, and in most cases also discourage victims from taking cases before the courts of law. One of the things that we have to look forward to with the establishment of the fast-track courts is that measures have been put in place, and particularly to separate the victim of gender-based violence from the perpetrator. When giving evidence in the courts of law, the victim or survivor or witness, or in a case of gender-based violence, will not have to come face-to-face with the perpetrator, especially for young children, because this has been a big problem in the past.
As a government, we are looking at the best practices in the fight against the GBV by bringing as many stakeholders as possible on board. Fast-tracking court cases which are involving GBV is one such example, and also protecting them under safe houses and places like that, because it's very difficult to get a person to come and testify in a case like that and go back to the same home where the violence is coming from.
So I had to go to court and filed for divorce, and then our case was heard, and then the court allowed the divorce. I got back to grade 10, and then I was lucky to find YWC had a safe space there, which further empowered me. I completed my grade 12, and I'm right now a second year student at some university.
Help us, help me to fight GBV, because it can happen to you, it can happen to your wife, it can happen to your daughter. Imagine. So you cannot say it's happening in the neighbor's house, it's happening in the neighbor's yard, not my yard, therefore it's okay. A vice or crime should not be allowed to take center stage